Thank you very much. So in the judging panel to start, we're going to have Jackie Rankin, Rachel Callender, Nick Gahonis, Mike Langford and G Greenslide. And waiting in the wings for their chance to judge, we'll have Johan van Kaan, Karen Alsop and Elan Wittenberg. Panel chairing today is Mel Waite, assisted by Amy Cope. Okay, judges, can you please sign on? Just wait a moment, guys. Judges, please wait a moment. Okay, cool. Judges, you should be able to sign on now. Cool, great. Someone was having a daddy look. Okay, looks like we are ready to go. We're good? Okay. First print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 71, bronze. And we're going to accept that. Thank you. Next print, please. Oh, yes, comment. Sorry, can we go back to the previous print? Previous print, please. Can we please have a comment from Nick?
It's very nice quality print. I just feel it's just too kind of literal. Message is just, yeah, I just think it's a good, deserve where it is at the moment.
Thank you, Nick. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. We have a score of 67, professional standard. And we're going to hear from Rachel with a couple of sentences.
I think because there's so much going on in there, there needs to be some anchor point or some connection for a story. This is illustrative category, and I'm feeling it's just nothing's holding it.
Thank you, Rachel. Next print, please. Thank you, judges, please. Okay, we have an initial score of 72. Yes, and Rachel?
I scored this in 83, and I find it really quite amazing and intriguing. I've never seen anything printed quite like this before, and I really enjoyed it. And then I thought, am I just enjoying the technique, or is it being held together by all of the elements? And I'm finding that I love the circular, the viewpoint. I love that everything's kind of bending and warping. It reminds me of kind of a glimpse through time. Like everything is so, we're like blips in terms of a planet. You know, our time here on Earth is but just a fragment. And this little planetary kind of presentation made me think of story, and I really enjoyed the process, and I enjoy the image, and I find it quite lovely. So I put it in the silver category.
Thank you. I'd like to hear from Jackie, please.
I'm on 67. I found the content, the subject matter, very flat, without emotion. Yes, I enjoyed the uniqueness of the printing, but why is that circle so far up in that square of aluminium looking, and I couldn't see the content relating to the process in any way. That's why I was on that 67. And so there you go.
Okay, I think we'll go back to Rachel now, please.
Yeah, that's cool. I think that it's nice to be able to talk about images that you are drawn to. So I don't think I can add anything towards this. So
Thank you, judges. Please rescore. Great, and we have a 2-point movement to 74 bronze. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. Okay, we have a score of 79. We have a score of 79. And G is going to take the challenge.
Okay, so we're sitting on 79. So I actually bumped this up into silver, 83. The reason being, it's printed really beautifully for starters. So I walked up in there, I went, okay, are we dense in those blacks? No, we're not. I can see every gosh darn detail in this print. Next step, I looked for the story, and I went, okay, what's the story here? This is a display cabinet. And I went, hang on, her expression doesn't quite look right for a display cabinet. Wait a moment. No. She's really grumpy about being in this display cabinet. She's really grumpy about being cut up. And so that expression suddenly completed this image for me. Add to, I was like, why is the skull up there? I went, no one needs to be there because this is about dead stuff. This is presented to us without gore. It's very clean. This could have gone into a place of gore. So I think in terms of the story, I think in terms of the printing, it really sat beautifully in that silver area for me. I would love to see it come up. It's just a few points, my friends.
Nick.
I agree with you, the print quality. It's just... and when it turned, it's just beautiful. When it turned, I just paused for a moment and just marvelled at it. So then it came a bit closer. And for me, I'm looking at the actual scoring range. By the way, I scored at 77. And it's very high standard of professional practice. The skill or technique is definitely there. I just can't. Tell me the story. I'm just trying to find the story. And if someone can give me that story, then I would definitely look at coming up with you.
Rachel.
But I just can't. I just no story.
I'm up with you, G. I gave it a silver at 82. And I think even if I don't understand the story, I think sometimes we get too hung up on trying to find the exact meaning of a piece that we forget about just the impact of the piece. And I think the word that comes to mind for me is imagination. So I don't know what's going on in this photographer's head, but there's a lot of very maybe scary things and something that I don't initially understand. But all of the elements are presented to us really beautifully. Like I love how, G, you mentioned, this is quite a gory scene, but it's actually quite beautiful. We've been spared some of that gore, and it's an interesting image and full of imagination. So I've awarded it for that.
Thank you. G, right of reply.
Okay, Nick. So you asked for a story, and I think I did try and start with that little bit of story, but in terms of the gore factor, so there is implied gore here, implied something horrendous happening. However, it's presented in this clean, pristine way. And what I mean by clean and pristine, all the instruments are well looked after. She is presented well as well. So the skull is presented well. What this is really talking about is pride. Pride of the capture. Pride of getting this woman, right? Now let's just think about some of the connotations to that, and we're not going to go down that path. But if you want a story, I think we can go for days. And if you can't find a story, what you don't understand, you can make mean anything, my friends. So please, I'd love you to join me. It's just 1 point over the line. Thank you.
Thank you, G. Judges, please rescore. And we have a final score of 81 silver. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. We have a bronze at 73. Can I please hear from Nick?
I think it definitely deserves to be in that particular sort of scoring range. I just feel that the process has been very heavily done, and just the teeth are so white, just like popping out.
Thank you, Nick. Nice and succinct. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. We have a score of 76, and Jackie is going to talk to the print.
I scored this an 83. I'm getting multiple levels of communication here. As we can see, there's multiple levels in the image. There's, I get a sort of like a peace sign. I can see the eye, and then I could see the ring. I wondered whether perhaps it was about making peace with the other side of your relationship. You know, the fogginess of of communication. But besides that, I think I see it as a balanced piece of artwork. The positive space of the subject being really lovely, balanced by the fogginess of that foggy door. What do you think?
Thank you. Rachel with the I don't agree face.
And this is my like, oh, I don't want to be the stingy one face. Yeah, I saw what you saw too, Jackie, and I think what kept me from going as high as you was just it wasn't quite as resolved for me. So there was still too many questions around what I was looking at and how I could interact or connect with it. I'm listening.
G, you're right on the average there. And please start with your score.
So my score is 75. And I think I was a bit hard on it, actually. Mostly because when I walk up to the print, and even when I'm sitting here, I can actually feel that movement in my gut, which is the, right? And so if a print is dead still, and then there's this beautiful implied slow movement, and I think, imagine that this is your partner on the other side of the shower. There's a conversation that has just played out really beautifully. And so I think I was really harsh.
Thank you, Jackie.
Cool. So you're not going to be so harsh now. That's lovely. And I think a lot of photography is about gesture. And in this case, it's a wonderful, soft but powerful gesture with the drip coming off and then leaving the page. Yeah, I think it is very strong. I'm on 83.
Thank you, judges. Please rescore. Thank you. 82 silver. Next print, please. Okay, we have a silver with a majority 3. Thank you. We'll accept that. Can I please have a comment from Rachel?
This is a really beautiful story about preservation and memories, and I love that there's darkness and light and a sense of old. I'm really short, eh? Okay. This could be improved by maybe some less heavy vignetting.
Thank you, Rachel. Next print, please. We might be looking at introducing the Judges Award for the most succinct during judging. So what we did next door, and I think I will introduce it here, is at the end of judging, the judge who was judged the most succinct by Amy and myself will get a 5 coffee card. Then be succinct. Thank you, judges. We have an average score of 79, and G is going to take up that challenge.
I actually had this on an 85. Bro. Anyway, okay, so for me this is a conversation about conservation, also a conversation about decomposition. Plastic doesn't decompose as such. There was a few kickers for me. First of all, this is presented without a mat. I want to just say that. So it's a very sparse, Spartan. They're just getting rid of everything unnecessary. Not only that, I thought about the fact that, okay, it is very bright. Why is it? you know, maybe it's a little bit too bright. And then I went, no, this is light, this is airy, this is about less is more. And so all of that communication, everything like that, this bag slowly just, it was just a really beautiful conversation, a beautiful gesture. Let's go back to there. And all of the elements were just pulling that together, that story together. And I just really appreciate that.
Thank you, G. Mike?
I gave the 78, but I'm definitely coming up. The more I looked at it, the more I understood the fragility that this is representing. It's really high key. It's almost not there, but it's definitely there, and it's definitely going to be there forever. So 80, 85?
Jackie's got a few words.
Yeah, I have some problems with the right-hand box. I love the first two boxes, but I really don't understand that right-hand box, and I'd love somebody to... Can you tell me what that is? Is it a landscape? I can see the plastic bag turning into a torso for me, and then it sort of disintegrates into something that I'm not sure.
G, right of reply.
I don't know if it has to disintegrate into anything, because it won't. It's plastic. It's not going to. So I think the fact that it is just losing its shape, losing its relevancy, losing its place, I think that's all it needs to say. 85, please, my friends. Thanks.
Thank you, judges. Please rescore. Okay, good talking. We have a silver distinction at 85. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. And by judges, I mean G. Okay, we have a score of 84 silver. And yeah, that's great. We'll accept that. Can we please have a blank screen? Oh, yes, sorry. Can we please have a comment from Mike, who reminded me?
It's an illustrative piece that was very direct, very obvious, incredibly well done, and deserved the score it got.
Thank you. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring Karen on for Rachel, and we're going to bring Elan on for Nick. Thank you, judges. Okay, we're just waiting for... Just bear with us. While we're waiting on the small technical thing, I'm actually going to get G to tell us a little bit about herself. Start with something that not many people know.
Something that not many people know. I don't know. I'm like one of those people who everything is out there on the play ukulele really terribly. I have 5 ukuleles that I can't play. 5. Why do I have 5? Actually, this is something people don't know about me. Grab a ukulele, lay it against your face. Just the edge, the beautiful curvy bit. It just feels really nice. It's like a nice musical hug. What do you mean? Yeah, so you just get a different feeling from each ukulele. It's getting weird, isn't it? No, yeah, so I've got a ukulele collection. They all have names.
Thank you for your share of your ukulele fetish. Just while we're waiting, a small reminder that we have the new Judges Award, the Ian Paul Memorial Award going on. This is for New Zealand judges only, so you're not included. And it's open to the public to vote and share their opinion in the lovely box out at the start. Just a minute, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to get Johan just to jump in for one, for Karen, and then this should hopefully fix the problem. Yes, sign in as yourself, please. Thank you, judges. Next print, please. Yeah, that's one. Thank you, judges. We have a score of 77 with a challenge from Mike Langford.
I gave this 83. I actually found it really painterly, beautifully illustrated, and a form that's not normal. It's not sort of photographic. It feels more like a watercolor than a photograph. And I think that the technique that they've used is appropriate to the message of finding things in the mist, finding things that are fragile. I really enjoy the palette. I'd like you to reassess that.
Thank you, Mike. Ilan.
Thank you. I scored that print 75. I enjoyed the crop. It's beautifully seen, and the mist is amazing. There's a deer there. I think it's a deer. And it's really, you know, sort of lost inside that mist, and so I see only a hint. I'd like to see a bit more, just more definition, more spark in the eye, something to show me a little bit more, but my eye is drawn into that branch that is just above the water. And so I think it's a missed opportunity in my eyes, unless somebody can bring me up.
Thank you, Ilan. Johan, succinct.
I gave it 78. I'll come up with you, Mike. I like the curve that brings us to the deer. I like the trees that reach over and contain the image. I enjoy the mystery of the deer in the mist, and it's just, well, I don't like the word sublime, but it is incredibly sublime, and it makes us ask questions, and in doing that, I think it's been successful. I'm going to give it a silver 2, Mike.
Thank you, Johan. Mike, right of reply.
It's about an imagination. You imagine things because everything's not shown. And so it's not about seeing, it's about feeling. And you can feel the mist, you can feel it on your fingers and on your face. And it's more about that expression than a seeing expression.
Thank you, judges. Please rescore. And we have a final score of 81 silver. Good discussion. Can we please have a blank screen? And we're going to try and log Karen on again. We have success. Next print, please. Thank you. We have a silver with a majority 3. And we're going to accept that. Thank you. Can we please have a comment from Karen? Also, it was a rescore, so sorry, can you please re-enter the same scores? And Elan, I believed you wanted to talk. Same scores, please, judges.
Yeah, I think it's a unique portrait. I really enjoy everything about it. A bit high key in some areas. That's all.
Thank you, Elan. Nice and succinct. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. Okay, we have an average score of 71 bronze. I'm going to accept that. Thank you. Can I please have a comment from Mr. Mike Langford?
I couldn't go higher than a bronze. I felt it was appropriate that it hit that mark. I actually found that the overall feeling of grayness was too strong for going any higher.
Thank you. Lots of heads nodding there. Brilliant. Next print, please. We have an average score of 67, professional standard. Thank you. Can I please have a word from Karen?
Oh, I think it's a interesting abstract print. I found the paper choice maybe a little flat, so maybe looking at paper choice and also the images themselves within were a bit flat. So just.
Thank you, Karen. Next print, please. Thank you, judges, and by that, G. Okay, we have an average score of 74 with a elective challenge from G.
Okay, friends. I think, so I'm on an 86. The reason being is that I went up there, there's beautiful detail on that back wall for starters. The next thing is the boy and the video game controller. Okay, so he's tied to his video games. He's obsessed. We can see the story. What kind of sold it for me was walking up there and seeing the squares in the eyes, actually seeing what he's been looking at is kind of been burned in there. And I just think that's a really nice detail. I also enjoy the fact that the body has some interesting, that's the lighting that happens when the TV is actually falling onto someone. It'll go different colours and strange. So I actually just really enjoy that touch. I think everything ties it all together here.
Karen.
I didn't see the squares in the eyes, so that's really interesting, and that will bring me up. But I did score it lower at 65, and it was the printing that pulled me down. I feel like it's losing detail in the print, and there is some print lines or banding there that brought it down as well. So I'd love to see this conceptually. I think it's great. I'd love to see this printed.
Mike.
Yeah, I gave this 72. I'm going up to at least 82. And thank you for your insights, because seeing this as a TV light falling on would allow banding to happen, would allow colour separation to happen like this. In fact, all the grunge that we're talking about is appropriate to the message that's being communicated. So in terms of what it's trying to say and how it's saying it, it's very unique. Very creative, and I believe it is even more.
Jackie.
Yes, I'm on 83, and I can see the panoramic TV, even in the shape of the print. Yeah.
G, right of reply.
Okay, so in terms of that print quality, it is printed on a metallic, so that does get that roll that happens. So under these lights, it is really hard when we are sitting at the edges. We need, if you go in and stand dead in the middle, I can't see an issue with the printing at all. And so I would just, in terms of everything else, in terms of the story, in terms of how it's pulling together, I think, ooh, damn. I would love to see this come up. I'm on 86. Join me, friends.
Thank you. Judges, please rescore. And we have a final score of 83, silver. Next print, please. We have an average score of 72 bronze. Thank you, judges. Can I please have a couple of sentences from Elin?
Yeah, it's a beautiful portrait of a horse. It's a bit heavy vignetted and the highlights, and also there's a number on the horse. I would give out some.
Thank you, Elin. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. Okay, we have a score of 76 bronze, and we're going to accept that one. Thank you. Can I please have a comment from Jackie?
Yes, I found the skin texture on the woman to be sort of very blurry and blended, and the black detail is not great. But 74 is great for me. 76.
Great. Thank you, Jackie. Can I please have a blank screen? And we're going to give G a break and bring on Johan. Remember, a fast sign on is a good sign on. Perfect. Next print, please. Okay, we have a score of 83 silver. So we're going to accept that. Thank you, judges. It's a silver. But Elin, I'll ask you to make a comment.
Beautiful, stunning. And I'm not sure everyone noticed there's one fish the other way around. So it's like stunning.
Thank you.
Short one. I would have brought this up higher personally if all of the fish were slightly different. They're all the same. So to bring this up even higher, I think making all the fish different would be great.
Thank you, Karen. Next print, please. Karen. Thank you, judges. We have a score of 67. And we're going to accept that. Thank you, professional standard. Can I have a comment from Johan?
Like the colours, like the palette, like all those things, but the thing that you can see clearly is a pole through the window at the bottom, and that just, I couldn't explain it, and it just took me away from enjoying the image.
Thank you, Johan. Next print, please. I'd just like to say I'm enjoying the succinct, efficient comments. We're doing really well, guys. Thank you, judges. We have a score of 77 bronze. We're going to accept that. Thank you. That's a bronze. Can I please have a comment from Jackie?
Yeah, this may have gone up a little bit higher if that window on the left had been, the lighting had been treated in the same way, I think, as the other windows, but great idea.
Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. We have a score of 79 bronze. And Johan, up for the challenge.
I love the printing. I gave it 84. We are actually so close to a silver. All I need is one more of you to come with me. I love the printing. I don't know what the story is. It's an illustration. And you could say that it doesn't need a story. It entertains. It makes you ask questions. And those questions are strong. Ask yourself... spend your time enjoying the image, exploring it, and finding your own answer. And it looks like silver.
Elan?
Johan. Yeah, I gave this print 72. There's a few reasons. One is I actually don't understand the story. Not that I have to, but there's really no story in my mind. The calibration instrument there actually is upside down, so you actually don't see the measurements, which are technically, why is that whole thing done if it's not for measuring? And then there's that bird at the bottom. And lastly, the background is so distracting. So I love the crop, I love the light, I love the print. But for me to go to the silver range, it needs to be more than that.
Thank you, Ellen. Jackie's so keen. She's grabbing the mic before she's got...
I'm on the same at 84. And I was wondering whether it's about German exactness, and that I wondered about the symbology of that. The bird, is that like a German eagle or something like that? Yeah, so that brings that narrative to me. The metalness is really flat, and that flat light, I can see the lighting has been expertly done, and likewise the print's great, so I thought it belonged in silver.
Johan, you've got right of reply.
Everything that Jackie said, 84.
Judges, please rescore. Nice talking. We've got an 83 silver. Thank you, judges. Good discussions. And next print, please. Just a reminder, we are judging the illustrative category this afternoon, sponsored by the wonderful people at Lassie. Okay, we have a score of 63, nice and consistent there, judges. Professional standard. Can I please have a comment from Karen?
Yeah, I think to bring this up, just really watch there's a strange shadow on the side of her face and down her side that's not consistent. There's some digital artifacts and noise. So just looking at the quality of the imagery that is included.
Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. We have a 70 silver. Thank you. Oh, sorry. 70 bronze. Can we please have a comment from Mike?
I was a bit disappointed that I had to read words to actually get the message. Visual communication is much stronger than the words. So I just feel they shot themselves in the foot a little bit with the words playing the major part.
Thank you, Mike. Can we have a blank screen? And we're going to send Karen for a break and bring on Rachel. And I think Mike, break and bring on Nick. Thank you. Next print, please. While the judges are looking at the print, I'd also like to thank NIKON for the sponsorship of the Iris Awards. They help keep the lights on. We have a score of 66. And with an elective challenge from Nick. So we're going to accept that. 66, professional standard. Thank you. Can I please have a comment from Jackie?
Okay, Nick was ready to do that. I guess the cutout nature of the figure is a little bit not refined enough, and the figure not floppy enough for us.
Thank you, judges. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. Okay, we have a score of 80, silver. We'll accept that, thank you. Can I please have a comment from Rachel?
Funny feeling you're going to ask me. I think to bring it into a stronger category, it needs something else. It's something I've seen a bit of, so it just needs to push me into a new space.
Thank you, Rachel. Next print, please. A little reminder, the judges are encouraged to use the full range scoring available to them. And we have an average score of 67. I'm going to accept that. Thank you. Professional standard. Can I please have a word from Jackie?
I guess there's lack of believability in the hands holding the object. Just a little bit more work there, and the light's a bit flat.
Thank you, Jackie. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. Okay, we have a score of 83. Elan is sticking his hand up and is going to take the challenge.
Yeah, worthwhile. Stunning. So we have here a priest or a devil, I'm not sure, and he's holding this angel that plays a cello, and she's chained. And then there's Cupid on the sofa, just looking very grumpy. And the whole thing holds together with a beautiful palette of colors around it. And, I simply, so much stories inside there, so many stories. It really is stunning.
Thank you, Elan. Jackie?
So I'm at the lowest on 75, and I was overcome by that sort of orange colour, the colour cast, and the muddiness of that light. Yet in that light, there seems to be these rays coming through unbelievably, and that doesn't have to be real. Yes, I understand all that. So I'm just looking to resolve some of those problems. And that dark vignette, it does come into that dress a little bit, showing me the story. It's there, but I think it's the printing and presentation has let it down for me at this stage.
There are so many conflicting stories in this. I'll just go for the religious side of it. And in the South, those rays of light are often called the fingers of God. And given the religious connotations here, I think they're incredibly appropriate. If you look at the chain that shackles her down, and she looks held down by this chain, but she has the key on her wrist. The Cupid is not happy. He's got a slingshot, not a bow. The priest, he's inappropriate. There's so many things in here. I don't need to know what the story is. I've given it an 83, but Ilan, thank you for the moment to pause. I'm happy to come up with you.
Nick?
I can appreciate the story, and I really love the drama the light's actually producing. But I'm with Jackie here. The actual heavy vignetting and that the color tone that the whole print, for me, has let it down. It's actually taken away from beautiful imagery and from beautiful storytelling, in my opinion. It hasn't added it to the narrative.
Thank you. Elan, right of reply.
The light stunningly comes through those little windows, colored windows, and that's where those rays come from. It's a dark scene. She is suffering. He's tormenting her. The angel, is really in. And look at the boy. The boy is also in pain. So the whole thing, it leads to darkness. This is where the photograph is actually a dark photo, and that's why, the vignetting and the shadows, there's detail in everywhere. It's crispy. The color palette is stunning, and it simply is a beautiful representation of that emotion. You may not come to gold with me. Silver distinction.
Thank you. Judges, please rescore. And we have a silver distinction at 87. Thank you, judges. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. We have a score of 72 bronze. Thank you. And can I please hear a few words from Rachel?
I think to improve this image further would be to bring some lighting into the face. It's very dark, and maybe think about expressions. It's just a little bit hard to read.
Thank you, Rachel. Can we please have a blank screen? And Jackie, would you like to go and grab a snack upstairs? And Karen, can you please come on? Thank you. Okay, we all signed on. So next print, please. Thank you, judges. Okay, we have a score of 77 bronze. And we're going to accept that. Thank you. Can I please have a comment from Elan?
Beautiful crop, beautiful idea. Yeah, some symmetry and mirroring. I'm looking for a story, so next time just bring it more.
Thank you, Elan. Next print, please. Judges, Johan. We have a score of 79 with Johan grabbing the mic before I've even finished. Please take the challenge.
Well, 79's borderline, okay? It means nothing. It means I nearly did it. Okay, I did it. I gave it an 88. Okay, 88, yes. It deserves an 88. Fall into this image. Move off to the far corner and then get pointed back to the hole in the middle. Drift off to the side and then come back to the middle. This takes you on a visual sweep. It's not saying anything about anything, but it is such an enjoyable photograph. Don't crop it. Keep it as it is. Enjoy it for what it presents to you, which is beautiful, symmetrical, and asymmetrical. It's 88 or nothing.
Okay, I need to hear from Elan, and I know some of you also want to speak.
Johan. I gave this print 72. I acknowledge the geometric, and I enjoy those patterns, and it is in the illustrative category. I find that mesh at the front, the one we all look at it, it's not uniform. There's also some of the beams on the top left that have sort of a corner showing. So I feel this is not resolved. It could have been nice and clean without all these little things. There's a small dot in the bottom left, and one of the beams does go all the way across, but the others don't. Anyway, I just feel there's little things there that take me away from the silver to the bronze.
Thank you, Elan. Rachel.
I was so chicken. I'm so glad that you went 88, Johan, because I think in my heart I wanted to, and then my finger went, oh, I don't know what I'm going to say about it. But now looking at it and having this time to pause, this is so elegant and so classy. And when I first looked at it, it reminds me of the tonal range of photography. All of the colours, the zone system, exactly, that's what I was thinking. And every little pixel is a part of this, and it's handled with precision. I just see precision, and it's beautiful to look at, and I'm enjoying it more. So I'm with you, Johan.
Thank you, Johan. Right of reply.
And I'm glad that it's got those little things that say, this is real. It says, we haven't lied to you. And because of the honesty and the illustrative beauty of this image, I think you just need to drift your way up to an 88 with me.
Thank you, judges. Please rescore. And they drifted. 84 silver. Thank you, judges. Next print, please. Okay, we have a score of 78 bronze. Johan, yeah.
Don't you love divorce photography? And that's all I'm going to say. I gave it 84. That's the other thing I'm going to say.
Rachel.
Gosh, I hate being stingy. I think I just needed more illustrative content. It felt too literal. I can understand what's going on, but it was presented too obviously to me for me to push it into an award category.
Nick.
I think I would have gone probably a little bit higher if the different paper choice. I did actually go to an 80, so I'm already in the silver range. Don't think I would go any higher, but I really think it, some really angry dude there or lady who's done this. So I would like a different paper choice.
Thank you. Johan, right of reply.
I feel the anger, I feel the hate in this photograph. I feel that if they'd gone too heavy on the treatment to say, I hate you more, it wouldn't have been successful because it would have been manipulated and contrived. This is exactly an illustration of I hate you.
Thank you, judges. Please rescore. And you clearly hate me. We have a score of 79, so we know how this works. You have a choice. Only two options. 79 or 80. No discussion. Pick in just a minute. Hang on. No, I'm good. Judges, please. And this is a 79 bronze. Thank you. Good discussion. Can we please have the next print? Okay, we have a 80 silver, majority 3. Thank you, judges. And Nick, can I please hear from you?
Very obvious illustration. I think we all can tell the story there. I think when it is so obvious, a good idea is perhaps to, in G's words, crack out the dodging and burning, and just sort of like, just bring down some of those highlights and just go more into the group.
Thank you, Nick. Can we have a blank screen? Elin, please take a break, and there's food upstairs for you. And Mike, can you please come on, as you seem to be have been fed? Thank you for the quick sign on, and can we please have the next sprint? Judges are reminded that all images have been screened by honours, so please judges what's in front of you. Thank you, judges. We have a silver at 83. And Mike, can I please have a comment from you?
Exquisite, really beautifully illustrated, straight to the point, just like my reply.
Thank you. I love it. Okay, can we please have the next print? Okay, judges, we have a score of 75 bronze. And Mike, please.
Gave this 85. I find it very buzzy. Needed something like that. No, beautifully illustrated. I love that that blur. It's sort of the beehives are really jumping as a result of that. There's a feeling of activity. There's a feeling of busyness. And it's not just the pun, it's the visual. It's working for me.
Thank you, Mike. Johan, he doesn't see the buzz, I don't think.
I was disturbed. I'm hearing your hum, okay? I was disturbed by the striping that went across. There's a black stripe, a dark stripe, a light stripe, a dark stripe, a bee stripe, and then another stripe. But now it reminds me of bees. And I just talked myself into it. So there you go.
Shall we buzz on over to Rachel?
I'm supporting you, Mike, as well. I could hear the bees when I approached it, and I think when something can transcend a sense, you're doing really well with communication. So, yeah, I'm supporting that.
Thank you, Mike. Right of reply. Please rescore. Thank you, judges. We have 84 silver. Next print, please. Judges are reminded that their first score is often their best score. Okay, we have an 80 with a majority 3. Johan.
I gave it more than 83.
Can you please tell us your score?
I gave it 93. And I gave it 93 because of the beauty of the botanical wheel. It was restful, calm, interesting. It was very interesting. We all stood there for a bit longer than we should have. We nearly got told off. We enjoyed it. We explored it. We went around and found different things that we loved. I love the precision of the content. I love the separation of the elements, but also I love the way they work together. I love the pattern. I like the format. I enjoy the formation. I wanted it to be nothing else. I didn't want to change it. It was perfection already. I gave it 93.
Karen.
Wow, I gave it 63, so I'm a fair way off the 93. We'll see how we go. It's 1:30. I like the look of this. What pulled me down was that there's a lot of duplication there, and I would really love to see some variations in the patterns that have been used. So, yeah, I guess just seeing all of that repetition, it does add to the pattern overall, but I'd love to see some little cookies.
Because we've got such a range, I'd actually like to hear from one of the ones in the middle, Nick.
I'm on 81 purely because I love the print quality and just it just almost looked three-dimensional. And I just loved it. But I just, for me, without being disrespectful, it couldn't take it any higher. It just has a very sort of a boring type of pattern. However, in saying that, while you're there, there's all these on the right side. There's these faint lines, and I don't understand what that context of those faint lines all along the right side of it, in terms of like little connectors. I'm not too sure what it is. So I didn't really feel it as much as you did, Johan. Sorry. I still 81. I scored it pretty high. So.
Johan, right of reply.
Well, there's your cookie. There's those little lines, and if you look at the slight twist on the elements around the central circle, if you look at the slight variation on the pieces through it, the organic element that's been brought in by the personalization of each of the pieces, if you pull back and think about botanical drawing, if you pull back and think about illustration, this is illustrative, it is in the right category, it's at the top of the... It's peaceful, it's calm, it's busy, it's so many things in one picture, and these little lines just join them up and make them more scientific. So there's so many small things in here that bring it together, and I think sometimes you're looking for a big bang, but I think this one is gentle. It's gentle and calm, very calm gold colour.
Thank you, Johan. Can judges please rescore? Okay, we have a final score of 84 silver. Thank you. And next print, please. Judges, those seats are looking cosy. Johan? Okay, Johan, we have an initial score of 89, but I'm calling it initial because I know Johan is going to challenge that.
I nearly walked away from judging this print because I felt I was too influenced by the content and by the story that I felt was behind it, and there were things I couldn't explain, and I felt harm. And there's only a few elements in here, but they are quite succinct. There's a hand. It's a very powerful hand. It's oppressive. It has symbols of power all over it in the rings. There's religious power, there's the power of jewelry, there's the power of wealth. But it's earthy with the jacket. The jacket's really earthy. Then there's this beautiful person, but they're broken. You're told to look at this person by the way it is lit. You don't know who they are, so it's symbolic. It's not about that person, it's about what happens. It's chilling. It's cold. It's dark. It's ominous. And it's hurting. And it hurts me that you haven't come up to gold.
Thank you, Johan. Mike?
Yeah, I got all that. I gave it 78. I've been adjusted accordingly. I had trouble with the hand, mainly because the hand looks like it should be brutal, and yet the skin is quite smooth. There's no calluses. There's no roughness to the hand. It doesn't actually smack of being real. It smacks of just being a prop. And I get what you're saying. I'll come up, but I sort of still feel as if it's a bit artificial.
Rachel?
Yeah, I'm supporting you, Johan. What I got out of this was almost like the sins of the fathers. On the left-hand side, you have a powerful masculine hand. Then on the right-hand side, this grandfather clock, and I thought, grandfather and then potentially a father and then a young child being abused. And I think, well, maybe if this is kind of like a generational shame, then it's a very powerful way of portraying this abuse that has been brought down through generations, and for that I just going straight up to gold.
Nick, I'd like to hear from you.
I scored at 88, and to be honest with you, I was a bit of chicken. I'm definitely going to go to gold. I found it very confronting, but I think because it was so confronting, I kind of didn't want to look, if it makes sense. So I was looking at things like texture or whatever it is on her skin, like little scratches and stuff, and it was almost like me not wanting to look too close, you know what I mean, and to the point of like, so the hands, it's, men who abuse women don't normally have those type of hands all the time. So those rings, a slap with that ring would really send you flying. So, I think that's some of the stuff that I'm thinking about.
Erin?
Yeah, I scored at 92, and just the level of communication in this, the story in it, the potential of communicating even domestic violence, and, as Nick said, with the hand, that what happens behind closed doors, that so often we blame this kind of behaviour on people that are not like us. But I think this really communicates something really strong that's hit all of us in the heart. And
Johan?
The hand belongs to somebody familiar. It doesn't need to be a brute in its look. The brute is in the way it's holding. Thank you, Rachel, for pointing out the grandfather clock. So, enough said.
Judges, please rescore. We have a gold distinction at 95. I'm going to take a quick breather, guys. Yep. Can we please have a blank screen? We're just going to get some water for the judges. Just a little reminder, we're on the illustrative category here, sponsored by Lassie. And the whole Iris Awards major sponsor is Nikon. These lovely little tags that you can get from the guys at Nikon are your entry to the wrap party that we will be holding on Saturday night to celebrate the end of the judging. So don't forget to get those, and be warned, once you put them on, you can't take them off. Okay. Water's coming, so we're going to go to the next print. So next print, please. Thank you. Judges? And we have a 65 professional standard. And we're going to accept that. Thank you. Can I please have a word from Nick?
Just think the post in this is very much like a cut and paste type thing. You can actually see, yeah. So just have a look at that.
Thank you, judges. Can you please re-enter the same score? Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. Okay, so we have a score of 77 and we have an elective challenge from Mike.
I gave this 83. I actually find it as an illustration really clever, wholesome. The whole egg shape of the frame, all the elements are actually coming together, and the story is possibly a bit obvious, but it's well done. It's a great illustration. It's the right category, the right subject. It's told well. So 77 for me is sort of like a bridesmaid. We need the bride.
Thank you, Mike. Johan.
I was confused by this. It's a round egg, not a egg. I am happy for you to clarify what I don't see. I see the egg, I see the feather, but I don't see a feather in the child. So I'm not sure of that connection, and it confused me a lot. So if you can clarify that and give me a winning story, be awesome.
Okay, back. Oh, Karen?
Just in the story, it could be about a rainbow baby and the loss of the first two babies. This is just what I got from it, so.
Thank you, Mike.
That's what I got too, but I don't see the circle as an egg. I see it as a sperm cell, an egg. Sorry, and like a different type of egg. Thanks.
Thank you, judges. Please rescore. And we have a final score of 78 bronze. Thank you. I'd like to hear from Nick. Just a comment about the image. Oh, no, sorry, we've already discussed it. It's okay. Sorry. Can we please have a blank screen? Can I please have Karen off? And I'm going to bring Jackie on. And Johan, I think, yep, great. And G, would you like to come on? Thank you. Next print, please. Okay, we have a 70, majority 3. Thank you, judges. We're going to accept that, but we're going to have a comment from Rachel.
This is a stunning concept. I think to make it stronger would be to remove the non-organic elements like the jewellery and the placement of the fingers. And if nails are very manicured, they can sometimes look quite claw-like. So it's all about posing.
Thank you, Rachel. That's a bronze. Next print, please. Okay, we have a silver with majority 3. Thank you. We're going to accept that. Can I please have a comment from Rachel? Okay. Can I have a comment from Mike?
I think the bottom half of this is really well resolved. I'm not sure about the lofty heights of the image. We're sort of losing a little bit of information that it's not necessary to have all that sky. I'm finding it a little bit empty up there, but I believe it's got the correct score.
Thank you, judges. Please re-enter your same scores. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. We have a bronze with a elective challenge from Mike.
No, I gave this 84. I love this homaging to a very old style imagery that came out of Asia. I don't see it as, I see it as a parody of something old, and I think it's really successful. I love the flatness of it. You know, I'm not looking at it as a modern type thing. I'm looking at it more as representation of an idea that's a very old idea, done very well. So reassess it just on those values.
Thank you. I'd like to hear from G. Oh, and my apologies before. It was a 70 bronze. I didn't say the score.
I can appreciate the reference. However, there's a few things that are getting in the way for me. So first of all, there's some kind of filter going on the flowers in the background. So there's all of these lines that are tracing around them, which gives it this feeling like it hasn't quite been resolved in the cutouts. That grey skin tone, I know that it's meant to be that geisha white, but it's grey. Speaking of white, the child's nationality probably might want to match it or consider further. The texture going over the top is interfering with the whole thing. I really just need to I need all of these things resolved. Highlights as well. The point of focus is the girl's shoulders.
Okay, Mike, right of reply.
I think you're all missing this one, unfortunately, but I see that the background is rice paper, so I see the texture as being appropriate. I see the westernness in here is what was happening at that point. People were trying to look like something they weren't, and I believe that's all part of this illustration story. So that's the story I'm getting, I'm just sharing it with you.
Thank you, judges. Please rescore. And we have a 72 bronze. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. We have a 69. I'm going to accept that. Professional standard. Can I please have a comment from Rachel?
I think what would bring it into an award category for me is just precision and just refinement of all of the elements, just so they're more coherent and think about lighting. It's a bit flat.
Thank you, Rachel. Can we have a blank screen, please? And we're going to give Nick a break. And we're going to bring Elan on. Thank you. Thank you, Elan. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. We have a 73 bronze. And can I please have a comment from Mike?
I think the atmosphere of this is really great, but the lighting on the person doesn't reflect the light that's in the rest of the image, so it doesn't match.
Thank you. Judges, can you please re-enter the same scores? Thank you. That's a bronze. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. We have a score of 63, professional, standard. Thank you. Can I please have a comment from G?
I personally feel this print, I really enjoy the cutout in this print. I actually would have enjoyed it if there was no text in there at all. I think the text was trying to guide it to a story that wasn't necessarily there.
Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. Rachel? Okay, we have a 68 professional standard, and we're going to accept that. Thank you. Okay, can I please have a comment from Jackie?
The image is very dark and it's very hard to understand what's being said besides seeing a mobile phone up there and a mask over the eyes. Make it lighter and give us some narrative.
Thank you. Next print, please. Okay, we have a score of 68, professional standard. Thank you. Can I please have a comment from Rachel?
I think to make this image more successful, again, it's with lighting. I think we've been directed straight into the child's face, but then all of the elements aren't blending together, and photography is all about light and using light to communicate. So I think understanding that will be stronger.
Thank you, Rachel. Can we please have a blank screen? And Rachel, have a break, and I'm going to bring on Johan. Thank you for a nice quick sign on. Can we please have the next print? Thank you, judges. Johan? Okay, we have a 72. Okay, and Jackie?
I challenged this on 83. I found the communication quite strong, particularly on the one focal point with the girl's legs splayed in the air. The colour balance of all those yellows and greens talk about, for me, the energy of the earth and the air, and I guess that maybe this is sort of yoga, more sort of about yoga and balance. The balance of those boxes within the other squares is perfectly balanced. And this is balance, yeah. I'm on a 83.
Okay, G, I would actually like to hear from you.
I'm not personally seeing balance. I can appreciate the effort gone to in printing those yellows and those colours. However, if I'm thinking about balance and if I'm thinking about movement and those kinds of things, I'm losing it in amongst these double exposures, these crosses, the mishmash of just everything happening. I'm not quite getting what's going on.
Thank you. Elan, I'll hear from you, and then...
Yes, I scored it 67. Jackie, I struggle with the clutter, the reflections with monochrome and the color, the cubes that have no photograph of that girl. It doesn't resolve for me. It doesn't give me enough to
Johan.
This is a very energetic representation of some form of physical activity. I'm not going to define it. I really enjoy the reflections in the glass that we're looking through. I enjoy the use of the X. I think the X is actually integral for all the images. It unifies everything, the colour and the black and white. I think it's a powerful piece within the imagery, and it forgives the use of colour with black and white. And then there's that one strong graphic image with a white background, and that's where we're drawn to. That's the bright piece. That's where the author, the photographer, the illustrator, has taken us and said, look here. And the X is beside that. The figure is almost an X. I think that we've been led very craftily to enjoy this image and understand something about what happens. I would like to reward the photographer with at least the silver. Thank you.
Jackie, right of reply.
Yeah, I think it is. Those X's, every frame has got an X on it. It's almost like a proof sheet. Cut, these didn't work, but this one did. And that's where the balance of life is. Perhaps all those other expressions are about things that didn't quite work. And there it is in that 1/3 of the frame in. And it's powerful, that frame. And I think it's powerful enough to pull my eye and create that balance and sense of the rest of the cosmos.
Thank you, judges. Please rescore. Okay, and we have a silver majority 3 on 80. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. Helen? Okay, we have a score of 78 bronze, with Mike taking up the challenge.
Only just. 83. I find this really dramatic. I find it really powerful. The expression on the man's face really supports the struggle of this impossible feat of trying to fly with this heavy object. It's one of those fables, the man that couldn't fly. It's a wonderful story and it's beautifully illustrated.
Johan? Yeah.
You asked me.
Yes, could
Sorry,
you...
that wasn't clear. I gave it 76. I enjoyed all those elements, and then there were a couple of really confusing elements, and because it's such a crafted image, I was disappointed that those elements weren't dealt to. The spots around the bottom of the image, yes, they balance the fireflies around the lantern, but then when I look up at the lantern with the fireflies, it's all quite smudgy there, and I feel disappointed by, or let down by, those elements in the image. I like the content and I like the story, but I'm not impressed by the technique.
Thank you. Mike, right of reply.
Not a lot of negative going on there. They are minor things that you're talking about. You're talking about details. I'm talking conceptually here. And I think as an illustration of an idea, I think it's very thorough with flaws, which is why I've only given it 83. I'm possibly being kind, but I like being kind.
Thank you, judges. Please rescore. And kindness has worked. We have an 80 with a majority 3 silver. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. We have a bronze at 73. Can I get you to please re-enter the same scores? And can I please have Johan say something?
Really enjoyed the image, but I just wanted it to take me somewhere. I wanted it to give me something a little bit extra. Beautiful shape, etc.
Thank you for that extra succinct comment. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. Johan? Okay, we have a 67. Professional standard, thank you. And can I please hear from Ilan?
Yeah, it's a difficult image to look at. I think the right hand is simply the way the photographer has placed that against the background. It shows artifacts there. So just look at your technique.
Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. We have a 66 professional standard. And can I please hear from Mike Langford?
I find the HDR treatment just evened everything out and given everything the same value. So there is no value that stands out. It should be treated differently.
Thank you. Valuable feedback. And can we please have the next print? Thank you, judges. Okay, we have, one moment. We have a 72 with a challenge from G.
Yeah, look, I actually gave this an 82 just because of the story. We've got that compass there measuring this guy up so that someone can nail him in the back. And, you know, it's a really lovely way of illustrating sizing some up. And it's coming from someone who is perceived to be female, just from the character in the hands, that ring. It seems to be a wife or something like that because of that wedding ring. So for me, I think the story that I can get out of it and continue on with, I'm really enjoying. The eyes are the window to the soul. The compass is going into the soul, into the mouth. It's measuring up what he sees, how he speaks of her. I just think that should be rewarded.
Jackie.
I'm on the other end with others, but at 65, my eye goes to the ear. It seems to be the most well-lit. It's almost three-dimensional, and yet it's not really part of any of the story that you described. And the burnt-in vignette around the edges has made that skin sort of murky and grey. I couldn't read the story that you had. You're describing, and I can't see that as being a wedding ring, although it is on the wedding ring hand, but maybe that is. So it was part of that story, and it just felt like the print quality and the treatment of it it took me out of that scoring range.
Thank you. G, right of reply?
Yeah, look, I actually don't mind that we go to the ear because it maybe for me implies that he's listening. And so for me, the highest point of contrast is the eye with the compass coming towards. You know, put white against black, it creates that visual stop sign. So that's where I'm personally going to. In terms of the muddy vignette, things are murky. Like, maybe it adds to the story. I'm pretty okay with it. I'm pretty comfortable with it because it is taking us up into that eye connection. So I would just love to see it bumped up into that silver range.
Thank you. Judges, please rescore. And we have a final score of 73, bronze. Next print, please. Okay, we have a 74 bronze with an elective challenge from Jackie.
I scored an 83, and I wasn't really... there's a kind of chiaroscuro. There's the movement of the warm light to the blue light and ultimately coming down to a gesture. I thought it was complete. I thought it expressed an idea and a feeling, and that emotion is what put me into the 83 zone.
Thank you. I'd like to hear from G.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I love about this print, and that's why I put it into that professional practice range. The struggle that I'm having is the top half is looking great. Then we're falling off from the line of the top to the legs. That falls into deep black, and it also, there's a lot of haloing around the edge where we've had some, I hope, yeah, it feels like some post-production issues there. The front leg is also connecting into that deep black that I'm not really keen on. I wish that this photographer could see our screen right now, actually, because that is, whew. But the print, we've just got some issues.
Okay, I'd like to hear from Mike.
I gave it 78, and I'm pretty happy with that. I feel I'm sort of between finding faults and finding success, and I'm really happy at being halfway.
Thank you. Jackie, right of reply?
Okay, What's hidden in the blacks is the other leg, and but that's not part of this expression because that bottom leg is perfectly balanced by that top arm, and I just love just the face just coming through. This is a portrait of perhaps dance and celebration of, you know, for me it's sort of life and colour and lighting, and it got me at 83.
Thank you, judges. Please rescore. Okay, and we have a final score of 77 bronze. Thank you. Next print, please. Okay, we have a 69 with a challenge, automatic challenge from Mike Langford.
I gave this 83. I actually saw this as a great, just a great space and a great idea for a book cover, for type over, for it's illustrative. It's giving us plenty of scope to interpret it however we wish. It's not telling us anything specific, but boy, it's a great atmosphere and it's a wonderful body within the water. The graphics, the space, all of that stuff that's in there is just beautiful. I'm really enjoying it.
Johan.
I gave it 64. For a controlled image, I felt the subject within the image was not controlled. That balance is not there. It's off to the side slightly. And I felt that to achieve what you were talking to me about, it needed to be more perfect, more precise, and that it's not there. It's a bit muddy.
Mike, right of reply.
Perfection's gold for me. I've just seriously gone to 83.
Thank you, judges. Please rescore. And we have a 69 professional standard. Thank you. Can we have a blank screen? G, I'm going to take you off and bring Rachel back on. Rachel's between husband and wife. Okay, we're signed on and ready to go. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. We have a 67. Yeah, and we're going to accept that. Thank you. Can I please have two small comment from Rachel?
I think the angle of the photographer would have really helped this if they were a little bit lower. I feel my eye just keeps going straight on past the very bright, colourful characters off into the pathway, and an angle change might help that.
Thank you. And Johan? Yep.
If you're propping an image, you know, like with suitcases, you want them to be full, not half full. Even the one that's got stuff coming out that still feels empty, just for believability.
Thank you, judges. Next print, please. Judges? Okay, we have a 73 with a challenge from Johan.
I didn't enjoy the printing of this image, and I was going to let it fall into the bronze until I thought about what I was seeing, and this woman has run out of batteries, and there's a death or a deadness to her, and that is being supported by the muddy grey image that we're seeing. And I then felt that the photographer had taken me to another level where it wasn't just the graphic, they'd used the printing to create a sense of end. I've given it a silver. I'm not asking for moonbeams, it's just a silver, but a nice silver. 82, all silvers are nice.
Thank you. Jackie?
Yes, I can see the idea there. And it's sort of obvious, but the story came undone for me without a sense of where's the back, where's the piece that's missing, and why is it missing? There's an awkward sort of shoulder, and unfortunately the print quality is really letting it down. There's almost a JPEG artifact sort of look at it. People are calling it the arc where it's been lightened and darkened. There's some shadowing there that is quite distracting. That print quality is a big part of print critique.
Thank you. Johan, right of reply.
My feeling was that they'd use the print quality to create that sense of end or finished. So I gave it a reward for that as well. So I didn't take away for it. I thought it was part of the image. I gave it an 82. It's just a silver. You're only 10 away. Come on.
Thank you, judges. Please rescore. Okay, and we have an average of 73. Bronze, thank you. Next print, please. Judges? Okay, we have a silver, majority 3 at 80, and we're going to accept that. Thank you. Can I please have a comment from Mike? Yes, you can challenge that. Yeah. Cool.
I'd like to challenge it on 85. Because the narrative in here is so positive and about life and seasons, and the balance, compositional balance is beautifully weighted because of the ladder and the man with his going around the earth mowing the lawn. I could see this being used in many ways. It's a lovely narrative, and let's give it another chance. I'm on 85.
No, I'm being...
Okay, so we'll hear from Johan.
Okay, I gave it a 75. I'm looking for more. I felt that the base was too flat. I felt that, yes, it's a graphic image with graphic elements in it, and there's a three-dimensional world up there, and then there's this flatness, and the flatness is emphasized by the rake element. I felt that the dimensionality of the glow with the trees around the outside just didn't quite work because you've got these big trees and you've got these little trees and they just don't seem proportional to where they are. And so I felt that I was faulting it all the way through, so I didn't enjoy it enough to take it up into a silver score.
Thank you, Mike.
There is no reality with this, which is one of the things that I love about it. The seasons are represented by the trees and the change of trees according to where they are on the planet. That whole mowing thing is so unique, it's so farcical. It's a beautiful interpretation of just life and how it works. So I'm going up to a silver distinction.
Thank you. Jackie, right of reply.
Yes, that's what I'm after, silver distinction. This whole image, it could almost be flipped around and it would still have balance. The flatness is part of the style that allows that light to come from anywhere, but it ultimately is coming from that one little figure that is going around, and the red tree. 85.
Thank you. Judges, please rescore. And we have a 85 silver distinction. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. Johan? Okay, we have a score of 74. Johan is going to challenge that.
Trying to work out what this is about, and I imagine that the people who didn't come anywhere near a silver, I gave it 88, who didn't come near a silver couldn't work that out either. And but I know there's a story in there that needs to be told, and it's about the environment, about the death, it's about nest, it's where it should be, but what the environment's doing to new life. It's killing it. Plastic in there, there's death, there's green, there's red, there's brown. It should be earthy, it should be growing, but the green isn't natural, it's unnatural. It's plastic. This image needs to be thought about, and that was the reason why I was slow to come back to my chair, because I was still thinking, and I am still thinking about it now, and the circles, the balance of the 9 is important. The earthy is important. I just need a moment to have another look.
While you're taking that moment, I'm going to go to Rachel.
I'm sitting on a 68. I'm listening to Johan, but what I'm feeling is the quality of the photography and the handling doesn't reflect the quality of the idea. There's not a lot of detail in the lights. It's feeling really blown out, and so some of those beautiful subtle textures are being lost to overlit, overcooked photography. So I can't come up to silver distinction with you, but maybe I've been a little bit harsh, but print quality.
Thank you. Mike, you're right on the average.
I'm enjoying listening to Johan's understanding of this, and I'd like to hear you resolve it. That would help me.
Johan, do you want to resolve that for us?
A good image makes us think. And to be fair to this author, I would probably want to think for a few hours. And in making me want to think for those few hours, I think the author has challenged me. And in challenging me, the author has invited me into their world, but let me find my own meaning. So they haven't been obvious or blatant. The circles all have little spiky bits that come out the sides. They don't feel natural. They don't feel comfortable. They feel hurtful. They feel angry. I feel that you my other judges, should just spend some time thinking about the impact of this. Move around the images, look at the carnage, and then rest on the dead animal in the middle, and realize that this photographer has taken you on a journey. And it's a journey that's a little bit angry, but it's also quite beautiful because of the balance. And balancing ugliness and beauty at the same time is a tricky thing. And I think the photographer has been very successful. I've rewarded the photographer with an 88. At least give them some silver to take home.
Thank you, judges. Please rescore. And Johan, you just lost the Succinct Award. Okay. Why do you do this to me? We have a 79. We know how this goes because you do it to me all the time. So I am going to reset and I need 79 or 80, please, decisive. This is your moment. And we have a 79 bronze. Thank you. Can we have a blank screen, please? And can I please have Mike off? And I'm also going to have Elan off. And I'm going to bring Karen and Nick back on, please. Fantastic. Okay, next print, please. Judges? Okay, we have a 72 bronze. We're going to accept that. Thank you. Can I please have a comment from Rachel?
Yeah, lovely image. I think if it was going to come up into a higher range, maybe just some more refinement of some of those elements.
Thank you. Nice and succinct. Next print, please. Just a reminder, we're judging the illustrative category sponsored by Lassie, and today's word of the day is succinct. Though the judges don't necessarily agree. Judges? Thank you. We have a 71 bronze. We're going to accept that. Thank you. And I'd like to hear from Nick.
I actually really love the quality of light and how they handle the highlights there. I'm failing to actually get a story out of it, to be honest with you.
Thank you. Perfect and succinct. Next print, please. Rachel, Karen. Thank you, judges. We have a 68 with an automatic score from Johan. Yeah, cool. Okay, we're going to accept that. That's a 68 professional standard. Judges, can you please re-enter the same scores? Thank you. Can I please have a comment from Karen?
I got a little bit scared for that boy that was there. But apart from that, just maybe looking at the print, the dark area at the top, and just the angle of shot as well.
Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. Okay, we have a 70 bronze. Thank you, we'll accept that. Can I please have a comment from Nick?
I just the light on the girl's eye there just almost looks warped. I just felt again to probably not reading it correctly, but I think I do enjoy the print. I think it's great print quality. I think it deserves where it's at.
Thank you. That was a bronze. Next print, please. Rachel.
No, that's all good.
Okay, we have a 64 professional standard, nice consistent judging there. And can we have a comment from Karen?
I'm just not really sure what I'm looking at. So, yeah, I guess that brought me down because I don't really know what's going on.
Thank you. Johan, quickly.
I felt the expression on the person's face let the image down a lot.
Thank you. Next print, please. Yep. Okay, we have a 78 with a challenge. Either of you can take it, but I'll go with Johan because he's, yeah.
All right, 78, very close. It's a crafted image. Initially, I was concerned and disturbed by the contrast between the warm glow of the godly area and the cold of life in the dome. And I'm now understanding that that's the cold of life. It's a real life there what you've got is an ethereal life over the top, and you've got a real life. So it's got real colours, which there's blue water, blue sky, and then God's making some rain. And it happened. It's very obvious what's going on. It's very literal, and it fits into the illustrative category very well. I'm only asking for a couple of points to make it into a silver.
I'm going to hear from Rachel.
I really enjoy this image. I'm just finding the printing and the heaviness. It just holds it back, and I know we're not supposed to look at the screen, but it looks nicer on the screen. There's more that I can see in there in detail, and I feel that we're losing so much in the black, and it's so very red, and his face is kind of over punched, and it's such a cool concept, and I love it a lot. I scored it as 73. I potentially can come up a little bit to bring it into silvers, though.
Nick.
I feel this is like a tarot card, you know, and there's a kind of feeling that I got as soon as it turned. There's almost like an homage when you go into these type of crystals and this type of imagery. And if this was turned, and I could just picture this woman telling me that, rain is, there's blue skies ahead of you, life's going to be good and all that kind of stuff. So I actually scored at 81. So I just love the way it's been done.
Thank you. Johan, you've got right of reply.
All I need is one person to come up to gold and silver, and then we'll be fine. It is printed a little heavy, but that stops it from being gold. It's enough information in there to understand the story. It's a great little story. It's been told very well. A few more marks. Thank you.
Thank you, judges. Please rescore. And we have a 71 silver. 81 silver. Thank you, judges. Next print, please. Thank you, everyone. That concludes the illustrative category. Thank you very much to the judges, to the wonderful helpers out the back, to my assistant panel chair, and to the audience for being a great audience and turning your phones off. If the judges can please